All right, guys, welcome back to the second day of chapter 3. Today we're going to be talking about linear functions, and today is a little bit more of a lighter day. And on your assignment on Go Formative, you actually are not going to be doing all of the problems. You're only going to be doing problems 1 through 8. So today we're going to talk about linear functions. So we, up to this point, have only dealt with linear equations. Like y equals 2x minus 5 is called a linear equation. Equation because of the equal sign and also equation because of the y equals. So today what we're going to talk about, or the rest of the unit, we talk about these things called functions. So with a linear function, the only difference is that this y becomes, we write it in function notation. So this is called function notation right here. And it could be written as f of x, it could be written as g of x, it could be written as h of x, it could have any letter here, and then whatever variable they use in your actual equation will be inside the parentheses. So you read this, or this is read as f of x. But like I said, you could have it written as g of x, you could have it written as h of x, you could have it written as f of m. It just depends on what variables you are using. So really, like, the way to change things from an equation to a function is by taking the y and making it an f of x. What we do for linear functions, and really, like yesterday we talked about functions and we had a domain, we had a range. Functions are used to create that range. So we input values for x, like the domain, and we get outputs for the range. So like, for example, if we wanted to figure out like a range, like if we wanted to figure out a range value for an x value, this is what it would kind of look like. It would say, what is the value of, and then I'm going to, just for fun, use g. G of x equals 5x plus 1 when x equals 3. So I want to figure out what is the value of this function when x is 3. So all you do is take this 3 and you plug it into your function for x. Now there's two x's in our function now, so we're going to plug it into both spots. So we have g of 3 equals 5 times 3 plus 1. So basically we're just substituting. Take this value and substitute it in for x. Now this is how we write a function notation, or this is how we kind of notate in function notation what value we plugged in for x. So when we start simplifying this, we know that 5 times 3, you're going to use order of operations a lot today. 5 times 3 is 15. And then 15 plus 1 is 16. So we know that when we plug a 3 into our function, we get a 16. So a lot of today is just plugging and chugging into functions. So let's take a look at another one, another example of what you're going to be doing today. Just getting used to plugging into these functions. Let's say that we are given f of x equals 3 minus 7x. Find f of x when x equals 4. So it's the same idea, maybe just written a little differently, but we still have a function and we are plugging a 4 into our function. So we're going to take this 4 and plug it in wherever we see an x. So we have f of 4 equals 3 minus 7 times 4. So we start simplifying. Order of operations says to do the multiplication first. 7 times 4 is 28. So we have 3 minus 28, which is negative 25. So f of 4 equals negative 25. So that means that when I input a 4, my output is a negative 25. The other thing that you could see today is, given a function, we could have to find multiple outputs. So like, for instance, let's say that we were given h of x equals 2 parentheses x plus 1 minus 4. let's find h of 5. And on a separate problem, we're going to find h of -1. So these are two separate problems that we are going to do. We're going to plug in a -5, or we're going to plug a 5 in for x, and we're going to plug a -1 in for x. So to do that, I first take the 5 and plug it in. So I get h of 5 equals 2 parentheses 5 plus 1 minus 4. So when you are simplifying, do what's in parentheses first. 5 plus 1 is 6. Now do your multiplication. 2 times 6 is 12. 12 minus 4 is 8. So h of 5 is 8. So that's one of your answers. Now we're going to go back to the original one here, and we're going to plug in a -1. So we have h of -1 equals 2, -1 plus 1 minus 4. Do what's in parentheses first, and we have 2 times 0 minus 4. Now do the multiplication. 2 times 0 is 0, and then 0 minus 4 is -4. So h of -1 equals -4. So on your assignment today, it's going to probably bug you a little bit. It's going to be a 2-day assignment. You're not going to do all of the problems. You're only going to do the blue bubbles for 1 through 8. Once you've completed 1 through 8, stop there, and you will be completing it tomorrow.